Hey everyone, so you are here at the Data Science Working Group. Today's March 11th. I'm stepping in on behalf of Dawn and Chan, who are unfortunately unable to be here. I know a lot of people have conflicts today. Sophia's out, Tosin is out, so yeah. Oh, Ernest, it's your first meeting. Well, welcome. Hello. We're glad you're here.
Hi, good day.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. I'm joining you from Nigeria. Although
Hey.
I've been on the Chaos Slack community for quite a few years, but this is my first time joining this call.
Well, thank you for showing up and taking that next step into
Yeah,
becoming more of a chaotic. We love it.
my pleasure.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. There we go. If you have not added your name, tell us what you like to eat for lunch. If you want, you don't have to. What do I like to eat for lunch? I guess so. Do you guys want the like healthy, socially acceptable answer, or do you want like the actual answer? I guess that's the question. I'll say salad, but also, yeah, I don't actually even know. Usually, yeah, I don't even know. I can scrounge up. You know, when you work at home, I don't ever leave for lunch. Sometimes I just skip it all, you know. Hi, Panda. I like to eat not meetings for lunch. Yeah, we also do have a lot of meetings around lunchtime, I guess, depending on where you are. Okay, if somebody can do me a favor, if we do have new people join, if you can just drop the minutes in the chat for them, that would be great. Okay, so let's take a look at our agenda here today. The first thing on here is Dawn and whoever, I'm sure there's others who are working on this. They are looking for feedback on this guide. Let's take a look at that. What does that look like? So this is the first draft of their guide. Yes, Panda, to be fair, if it's 5 o'clock somewhere, it's also lunchtime somewhere. Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. So this is the latest practitioner guide that they're working on. So it's demonstrating organizational value. Audience and scope, introductions, challenges. I don't know if we want to take time today to kind of look through this, or if we want to have you all do that async. What are you feeling like? How's your brain power today?
If we could have a couple of minutes to just read it and then talk
Yeah.
about it, I will probably not read it if we don't do it right now.
Okay. So for those of you who do want to take a minute to read, great. If you want to read it later, also great. We'll do it that way. Also, for those who don't know what these are, we have a series of these. Would be the latest in the series. They're designed to give more context, more advice and guidance for folks who are trying to implement a certain set of metrics and who are, yeah. Oh, sorry, Callie, go ahead.
Oh, I just had questions about this is my first time seeing this, so like 'cause I've just been like in and out so much.
Sure.
Is this being worked out on in like who's working on this? Like what it's just it's an interesting and very relevant topic for stuff that I do.
Typically, it's Dawn. It's not always
Yeah.
Dawn, but typically that's who it is. It looks like maybe Sophia's also working on this with her.
Nice.
Guess we could look at the issue. Maybe the issue says who is all participating. Let's just see if we can see. Maybe my internet is quite slow today. I don't know why. It's a beautiful day.
Everybody's checking their stock portfolios.
Crying in there, yeah. Let's see if there's an issue about this. I'm guessing it's this demonstrating value.
Yeah, this looks right.
Okay. Oh man, so slow. Okay. So yeah, definitely Dawn's working on it. I'm not sure who else, but
Elizabeth, if you're talking, you're on mute.
no, I was not, but I'm about ready to. I was gonna ask if we should pause the recording, or do you think it's fine? Does anybody care?
It's fine. I realize that I just need to like sit and actually read through this, and a couple of minutes is
Not gonna be enough.
yeah.
Well, sorry, we could do this. We could go on with the agenda, and then if we have time left over, if people still have brain power and we want to actually take time to read through and do all the things, we can do that. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Okay. I'm actually gonna turn my camera off. My video is very weird and slow, and
Copy. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'll try to fix that in between the 10 minutes I have before the next meeting. Okay, so Sophia's not here to give us a project update on this. Tosin is not here. Sal is not here either, I don't think. Okay. Here's a quick update on this forks and relicensing thing. Dawn met last week to talk about next steps. Start analyzing more project health data beyond organizational affiliation. So these are also some projects people are working on within this group for folks who are new or haven't been to this meeting before. So if you want to take a look at just what people are working on, if there's something that's interesting to you and you want to also work on it with them, totally awesome, totally fine, just reach out. So I'm not really sure what the context is around this. I think maybe Sophia will be back next time. Hopefully she can give us a little more context around that. Let's see what this is. Project planning. Core projects moving to foundations. CHAOSS Africa researchers team. Okay. Publish our findings as a report. Okay, so this is some research that folks are working on, looks like. So if that is interesting to you, that is another project you can get involved with. And I'm guessing you could probably just mention something in the Slack if you are interested and want to participate, and probably drop it in the Slack channel. And if you're not in the working group Slack channel, somebody can drop a link here for you. Here's some other research that's going on. Okay. So we have, just to sum up, we have practitioner guides, which are meant to help people implement and interpret data that they're collecting, and like what data, how, why, when, and what to do with it. So that's a document that we're writing. these are research projects that we're working on. So if any of these, if you want to take a look, if you're interested in participating, just drop a link into the Slack and say, hey, you wanna be part of that. Questions on any of this stuff before we move on to Cooper? I know it's a lot. There's a lot going on here. So sorry. And I'm not a regular participant in this meeting,
Yeah.
so I can't even provide extra context around anything, pretty much. So
And I don't think any of us know the backstory on the stuff that Dawn and Sophie has been working on, so we kind of
okay.
would need them, I think.
Okay. So I guess
Yeah,
also
maybe. Sorry, I was going to say, yeah, maybe my question needs them as well. I'm curious, like kind of like high level understanding of how what this working group does. So is it's taking data from like the chaos metrics systems that have been developed and analyzing it, or
Yeah, I could talk. I mean, I'm a regular attendee. Pretty much this is a group of people who are doing data, a lot of data scientists doing data science related projects. I think that if you go through the group's minutes, it kind of hits a lot of like, usually we're talking about specific projects that people are working on. Like the forks and relicensing analysis, that was a big discussion point for a while. Analyzing the trends of different events in open source communities. There isn't a tool or like specific like data requirement. Like a lot of people here are using different tools to collect their analysis. A lot of different people are using different data, but this is where you can kind of bring forward different projects that you're working on, get collaboration, work on stuff. But I think the agenda does a good job if you go back in time to see like what are the different types of projects. Another thing that we're doing is supporting students working on data science projects with one of the professors that are in CHAOSS. But yeah, all sorts of data science projects. You have your other like meetings that are more metrics focused. This is more like deeper like data analysis than just like a basic CHAOSS metric.
cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'll scroll through the minutes. I didn't realize there was thousands of meetings recorded. That's great. Mm, yeah. Also, like my background is in neuroscience, and yeah, so I'm interested in all this stuff. Very
Yes,
cool.
definitely. Probably be a good fit then.
yeah, thanks for that, Callie. That's a perfect summary of what this group is supposed to be working on and what it's about. So I appreciate that. Any other questions before we go on to Cooper's presentation about OHM? Okay, well, I'm gonna stop sharing and let Cooper take the reins.
I see that half of the people here were at the presentation last week. So were you also at the general meeting, Kelly, last week?
I was, but I kind of wanted to see it again because I only processed about half of it. So I was planning on going back to watch the meeting from last week for a couple of different reasons. But yeah, it'd be good to. I'm I'm interested to see the information again.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case, that, as well as any guilt I feel about making people sit through the same thing, I could probably try and pull up a different presentation. But I mean, this is a data group, so yeah, I think the like just the data on a constant prototype. Um, is that showing presentation now?
It is indeed.
Okay, cool. All right. Um, yeah, so the basic premise for this, well, my background, I guess I should go into because it's relevant, is neuroscience. And I discovered how broken the publishing system is and spent several years trying to campaign for people to adopt new platforms that already exist, all of these alternative peer review platforms. And many learnings out of that. Academics are really busy and aren't interested in complicated collective action type solutions. But B, the platforms that exist didn't have like a direct incentive for people to provide high quality reviews. And so that motivated me to go back to the drawing board. And like the last 5 years, I've been designing and more recently testing and implementing a new model that I think can solve this collective action problem in academia. And the basic idea is that it can take any contribution as input, determine its relative value to the community, and you can directly reward people based on that value. But the key thing that it does is it directly incentivizes people to provide reviews, because that's the reason why people aren't using these alternative platforms that already exist. And so, yeah, the review mechanism is really basic. It's just pairwise comparisons. So the community nominate whatever contributions they think are relevant. Then they go into the pool of contributions, and then we compare those two at a time. So ask somebody which of two contributions is more valuable on some dimension of interest. And then the key thing that we do is we then expand what we consider a contribution. So we expand the scope to include these reviews themselves and submit them for review as well. And so this then gives rise to what you might call a meta review. So here we're doing the same process, it's A versus B, but now you're comparing some regular contribution to some number of these pairwise comparisons. So in this example, you can imagine somebody doing 100 of these comparisons, can compare that value to, say, a piece of code that someone submitted. And what we do is we recognize that each of these processes is like relatively uniform and standardized, and so we can treat it as like a baseline unit of value to the community. And so we award each one of these reviews that someone does with 1 unit of value, and then based on the data that we collect, we can do some data science, and that then leads to an automatic score for every single contribution. So we prototype by hosting festivals. We took that data to an open science conference, and then we ran another prototype with that community there. And this is that data set. So basically it was an open science conference in Australia. There were 82 people. We invited people to nominate contributions. We received a long list of administration tasks that people did, talks that people gave, really like abstract contributions like balancing attendance at discussion groups. Basically, the point is that this system can handle literally anything. So it can be not only ideas, actions that people take, but also money can also be valued within this system. And then, yeah, we asked the community to select some dimensions. There's been some updates on the model for this, but for this study, we measured gratitude, generosity, inclusivity, transparency, integrity, and creativity. But these could be literally any dimensions that any community measure. And then the review is this randomized control design. So we pair everything against everything else, and we ask people to choose between pair contributions on each dimension of interest. So here you can see there's a lightning talk being compared to a hackathon, and people are selecting on each of those dimensions which one they preferred. And then we move into the meta review phase. This is where we now add these pairwise comparisons as contributions in their own right. And again, we balance everything. We ask people to do these A/B comparisons, where now they're comparing, say, a regular talk against 100 pairwise comparisons in this example. And to the data science. So what that gives us is this data set, and we can use that to automatically calculate the value of every single contribution. So what you can see here in the blue dots is the number of votes that the review contributions have received. And because we're assigning them a value a priori, we're saying every one of these pairwise comparisons is worth 1 unit of value. We can plot that on the y-axis. So that's the normalized value on the y-axis against the number of votes on the x-axis. And then the blue line is fitting a function to that data, which we can then use to calculate the score for every other contribution. So those are the black dots. And the main point, well, yeah, so this plot here is then just showing that you can do this across any number of dimensions. We measured 6 in this study. And what that gives you then is a kind of like a value profile for each contribution. So you can see that some received higher scores on gratitude and then lower scores on creativity, and so on. And yeah, once you have that, then you can do anything. That's the exciting bit as probably data scientists. Yeah, you can filter for any kind of metric or tag that you put into the data. So here I'm showing like gratitude per contributor, gratitude per contribution. You can look at reputation profiles that show what sectors people have contributed over time. And because it's an open data system, you can also look at the reliability of the reviews to make sure that people aren't gaming the system. And so the idea is that this can then become an ongoing like meta research paradigm for each community as they explore what values are important to them. And they also identify gaps in the valuation process. So on the right, I'm showing a bit of that work here. So you can see a analysis that's looking at the gratitude for particular contributions versus the money that went into making them happen. And so you can see that, say, for this, administration staff, that there was more gratitude for the work that they did than the money that was spent on them. But then you can see that maybe there was less gratitude for the ECR breakfast than there was on the money spent on them. And of course, this isn't necessarily the complete picture. It's, first of all, really rough data at this stage. Like, we don't have very sophisticated mechanisms, and particularly like really interested in collaborating with people that would be interested in working on more sophisticated ways to calculate these scores than what we're doing. But the idea is that you can use this data to start to interrogate what it is we're capturing and what it is that we're missing, so that in the next iteration we can nominate more contributions, or we can change the dimensions to try and capture value more accurately. And yeah, the idea is that this can, in theory, solve the funding problem for open source, because what it does is allows automatic payment for people that contribute value to the community. And the key thing, firstly, so that can be like distributed automatically based on the funder's priorities. So if they're particularly interested in some project like this one, they could basically drop an amount of money into the project, and that would be automatically distributed based on the metrics that we collect. So that's pretty cool. But then the way I think that this can really accelerate open source is by incentivizing cooperation and coordination between communities, because what this gives you is interoperable metrics, where if you have two communities that are using the same two dimensions, then they can basically recognize one another's value and exchange value on that dimension. And this can be done in theory, like automatically, because beyond those initial comparisons that people are doing, everything can be automated. And I guess the other thing that the reason I think this incentivizes public goods is because all of the rewards are stackable across different communities. So if you create something that is of really broad value, like an open source product that all of these different communities can use, then all of these communities could give gratitude to the contributor or the group that created that thing. And all of those rewards can stack across communities. And so it actually incentivizes people to create things that are of broad value as opposed to restricted value for a particular community or company, and so on. Yeah, that's it. So these are the communities we've prototyped with. The call out right now is that we really need front-end developer support. We had someone in January offer to help, but they've not really been able to contribute as much as we'd hoped. And there's some really amazing conferences in June that we have been accepted, invited into, and would love to launch the app there. So seeking front-end developer support, but any support. And also, yeah, like I said, like in the data science, there's definitely space to evolve what we've been doing. To take questions or stop talking.
Cooper, I might be misremembering, but I don't remember the bit about the cross-community broad value. Is that something that you talked about last time? Did I just miss that piece? Because I feel like that's a big piece.
Yeah, I think I did, but maybe not extensively. Sorry if I didn't.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I like that. I mean, I love all of this anyway, but that's a piece that I had not really considered, or I totally missed. I think that that's really curious and very interesting. There was like a standard across, like you said, to to incentivize broader contributions. That's really amazing for a greater impact. Yeah, that's really cool. That's a great way to show how to do that.
Yeah, like because like the standard unit is one of these comparisons, so any community can adopt that, and
Yeah.
if two communities are adopting the same dimensions, then they can compare. And so this is like a slide that this is just sort of mapping the values that the different communities have adopted in our prototypes. And so you can see that they all have adopted the gratitude dimension, which for the record, I actually think we need to evolve a bit. But yeah, the idea is like this plot really shows that, like, let's say you create a piece of code, um, and you make it only available to one community, then that community could value it on the dimensions that make sense for them, like gratitude and diversity and inclusion. But if you make it available to many communities, then those rewards can stack, and that can be across multiple dimensions as well. So, yeah, kind of just reinforcing what I said. Kelly, you've got a question?
More of just I think it would be really interesting once we have a few people that are of like our main data scientists that aren't here that I think would have a lot to say about this. But I just think it would be good in the next coming weeks to have a more like in-depth discussion about the data analysis done here, because I think it would be a really interesting conversation for this group.
Yeah, I would love that. That's been a part of the project that I just haven't had time because of all the other things going on. But we'd really love to riff on what we're doing and just, yeah, it's super basic what it is right now. It's like, as you saw, it's just to add up the total votes and
Yeah.
interpolate a function. But you can do way more exciting things, and I'm keen to get to that point. So if there's people that would be interested in doing that, yeah, happy to deep dive.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the right place for it. And pretty much it's just once y'all feel like, whether it's you or somebody else in your team that wants to kind of go into the more like technical side of it, just put it on the agenda and then we'll talk about it.
Do you mean for like next meeting, like in a fortnight, or a
Or I
separate
mean, it
meeting?
just next meeting, the meeting after that, whenever y'all feel like are ready to talk about it. Like a lot of times for these meetings, we'll go into a deep dive on something like something like this for 30 minutes, or people will just kind of like go through, ask questions. Especially like Dawn is a great person to pick a brain of. Just like there's a lot of, and Sophia and kind of everyone. There's like a whole group of people who, including myself, that will just, we like to learn from each other, and then we'll be able to get a lot of great feedback on like the data science process side of it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love that. And I've actually, yeah, been feeling lately like it'd be good to kickstart that in our community. So maybe I could invite a bunch of them to join this group and call, and we could chat about it together. That would
Yeah,
work?
definitely.
I assume this is open, and I can just invite people to
Yes.
join.
Yeah, pretty much. People want to come and talk about data science that relates to community. This is the place for it.
Yay! Cool. I think this is the home I've been looking for. Anna?
Oh, thank you for the presentation. So I would just like to, I understand that your work is trying to estimate contribution value, but I've not been able to catch up with a lot of details. So then I would like to ask if there is any publications, be it any write-up that I can read up on, so that the next time we are presenting this, we'll probably have a better questions to ask in terms of filling myself up with the details. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
thanks for
got
asking.
what I said.
The best spot right now is the I'm writing a paper, so yeah, we don't have a paper unfortunately yet. Um, Oh, actually, I've written a report of our latest prototype, so I can share that as well. What I've just pasted in the chat group is our GitHub, and that's one source you could look at. Another one is the website. Paste that as well. And then yeah, like the latest, we've sort of been evolving the prototype as we go. So maybe the latest one would be the best entry point. So I've got a document that's basically a report on the yeah, that one, that last link there is like the latest prototype that we did with the decentralized community the last couple of months. And that'll talk you through the latest version. My hand is still up. Do you have another question?
I think sometimes Zoom just leaves that up there. Okay, that was great. Thank you so much for
Thanks, everyone.
sending that again. I clearly learned something that I had missed the first time, so maybe I need to watch this about 5 times to actually really get everything. Any other questions for Cooper before we kind of wrap up with some reminders?
I was curious to hear, or I don't have anything for Cooper. This is next other questions. Okay, I think we're good here. I was curious, Sean, if you had heard back at all about the meeting space for the co-located data hackathon that we were talking about for Open Source Summit.
Yep, I have not heard back yet, but I will follow up again this week.
Sounds good, because if not, then we could start trying to look at other options
Yeah,
for location. I just think that this is I really like the idea for the, I want to, hopefully we'll be able to make
yeah.
I think that we'll be able to make the space happen. We just
Oh
got to
yeah,
figure out what the
I'm
space is.
confident about that also.
Mhm.
This is also the spring, I didn't even check, but this is spring break season this week is starting.
Yeah.
Me, but I know a number of I know a number of universities are on spring break this week. Matt's is next week and mine is the week after that. And
Oh
so
wow, yours is late.
yeah, it's always the same here though. It has to, I don't know how they decide on it.
Hey, it's better. BU always did theirs super early, and I really didn't like it because it pretty much made the last portion of the semester very long.
Yeah, torturous and whatnot.
Okay, I guess I probably should have put that down here. Okay. Okay, okay, just as a little side quest, do I personally need to do anything to help y'all organize that, or are you good?
I think right now we're good. We're just looking at free options for locating. So I think right now we're reaching out to academic and more academic places to see if we can get a room. And then the second phase would be to reach out to companies if we can't find it an academic space to sponsor it. Sponsor
Okay,
as in just allow us to use the space.
okay. Okay, perfect. Oh, someone's calling me. Okay, sorry, can't take that call right now. Okay. Anything else with that piece of it, before we kind of wrap up a little bit? Do y'all know, have you talked about what the content will look like or anything, or is that first we just need to get a space and then we'll figure that out?
We haven't gone too deep into detail about content, but since we have kind of a backlog of different projects to
Mhm.
work on, I think it would probably either be people just taking a stab at some of the projects that we've talked about, or seeing where the students over, I forget the professor's name, but there's some students working on some data science projects. And so hackathon, I think, is a pretty broad term for, we have all these different data analysis things that we come up with that we would like time and space to work on, but all of us are busy. And so that would be, I think we have the concept of what we would be doing in that space, but the very exact agenda, I don't think so. And I also don't know. I think that'd be something I'd want to. My mentality on it would be something that we would decide on maybe 6 weeks to a month out for what are the projects that people are really want to talking about, what are some of the data, um what data do we have available to us that we can hack on and work on together. So we have the concept, but the exact agenda, what we'll work on, I think will come out as it gets closer.
Yeah, that makes total sense. All of that makes perfect sense. So, okay. Well, just know that I'm here to support you all however I can. Just let me know what I need to do, what I can do for you. Okay?
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And Yeah,
Thanks,
you're
Elizabeth.
welcome. My pleasure. So that kind of is a good segue into this next one. So OSS Summit, I think the CFP did close, but if you have would like to attend this, this is a great conference. If you've never heard of this one, A plus recommend. Linux Foundation does an just outstanding job of producing a fantastic event. And it's kind of like a bunch of mini events all together. So there's something for pretty much everyone, I think. You'd be hard pressed to find something that they're not touching on at all anywhere in this event. So it's not super duper cheap, but they have some scholarships, they have some support there, diversity inclusion. They do offer childcare, which a lot of conferences are not able to do. So just A plus recommend this conference. And if you are going to attend, we are having a CHAOSScon the day after in the afternoon as a co-located event. So you are required to get registration to Open Source Summit, but the add-on for CHAOSScon is $10. So yeah, highly recommend you attending if you are already going to be there. Hang out with us for one more day in the afternoon, and I promise it'll be fun. And then Open Source Summit EU, and again, another fantastic Linux Foundation event. If it's a little more accessible over in Europe for you, is in August, and they do have a CFP open right now, which is doesn't close until April 14th. So you might as well submit something if you're interested in chatting about it, and then they'll let you know plenty of time to make some travel arrangements there. So, and it's in Amsterdam. Like, who doesn't want to go to Amsterdam? Amsterdam is amazing. So yes. Yeah, A plus recommend. And I think we took off our daylight savings reminder for everybody, but just as a reminder, if you are going to be attending any other CHAOSS meetings, that a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are tied to Central Time in the US, Chicago time. So those will be changing. Any of our CHAOSS Africa, CHAOSS Asia meetings, I don't think change at all. So yeah, if you don't change, you're fine. But for the rest of us that do change, you'll need to just keep track. So yeah, anyway, enough of that talk. Anything else before we say goodbye? All right, you get 8 minutes back. Hooray. Oh, here's Ernest. Go for
Yeah,
it.
sorry, I had Carly talk about some professors working on some data science projects with some students. So I would like
Yes.
to ask me about that. Is there somewhere I can read about the projects? You know, I'm saying that because my interest lies in understanding uh, there are changes in communities, and then maybe I'll still get to talk about why I joined this group later. But you mentioning professors working on some data science project with some students fascinated me, and I would like to ask more about that.
Sean might have more to say. I'm just going through the the agenda, the working group minutes to try to find. I know we had like a list,
I think
and we were.
it's Kevin Lombard.
Yes, thank you. I could not think of his name. Yes.
Yeah, Kevin Lombard was looking into students, but I think those might be students at his university, which is Creighton University in Nebraska. So I don't know. I don't know that it's an open call. I don't know
I
that
do think that the list of projects was open. That's what I'm looking for. And that there was like a list of like people were kind of gathering a list of projects for this, and I just don't. Student. Let's see. Let's message. I'm gonna message Kevin because I think the at least the list of projects was like an open thing. Yeah. I'll just message in the data science working group just to Kevin because I'm curious of them as well. Of what that because I've been in and out the last couple of months and I'm now checking back in. So I'm like, where everyone's going? Okay.
All right. Thank you. I'm already on the data science channel on Slack. So I will just try. You see, I remember you mentioned you said there is
Mhm.
somewhere in the minutes
Oh.
documents. Probably I could search for something related to that, probably I will find it there. Then I'll also try to check this Slack handle that was shared now. Thank you.
All right, I gotta hop off so I can get to my next location before our next meeting.
Sounds good. All right, thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.